Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the NASCAR Cup Series slate for the Bristol night race. This is one of my favorite weekends in NASCAR every single year. I mean, we could just get night racing for Bristol. We have Thursday night Truck Series racing, Friday night Xfinity Series racing, then Saturday night Cup Series racing under the lights, Bristol Motor Speedway. But yeah, I'm just really excited for this race, for this weekend of races. Really excited to play Draftkings for it. So I'm going to get into all this. I'm going to break down all the plays for you, all the strategies for you. But before I do, if you're new to this channel, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. All this, and leave a comment, turn on the notification bell so you know when all my content comes out. All those things really help me out. I've had a lot of growth throughout the NASCAR and NBA season. Now NFL is here, and we're getting some growth through that as well. So please continue to. Thank you guys for your continued support as we continue to grow. Almost at 300 subscribers, kind of getting closer to there, so that's a nice milestone to hit. If you want to get more of my content, you can subscribe to my Patreon. I'll put in the link below. For only $10 a month for all three series combined, you are going to get a cheat sheet with all the projections you need to know, along with cheat sheet with all the stats you need to know, along with projections, salary team rankings, cash cores, articles for every single race about who the best plays are. So be sure to check all of that out. If you want to get more of my content, you can subscribe. Or if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me on Twitter at DFSNateLane and Instagram at Natelane_. I'll put that in the link below. But I think that's really all I got to say on that. Let's get into this breakdown and go over these driver by driver because I know that's what everyone wants to hear. $12,000, Denny Hamlin starting 7th. He has the 6th best average finish at Bristol, the 5th best at short tracks, and the 6th best at steep tracks. This has been a track that's been very, very good for Denny Hamlin. 221 laps led over the last 2 years at Bristol, 959 at short tracks as well. So this is a track we've seen Denny have a ton of success. In the last 5 races, he's an average finish of 9.4 and 195 laps led. Hamlin actually hasn't been driving as well as he has been the whole season in the last few weeks, but he's still driving well, and Hamlin's, been one of the best drivers all year. He has that upside that he can hit and just absolutely smash value. So definitely someone that I want to get some exposure to, of course. That's just a track where he's done well at. We've seen him lead laps here, and we've seen him be very, very good. I mean, he probably should have won the race in the spring, honestly, or I guess it was the summer, really. But he wrecked himself out of it. So we know Denny Hamlin has the upside here to win this race. So definitely someone I want to get some exposure to. And Denny Hamlin under the lights all year has just been a different animal. I mean, last week at Darlington kind of underperformed, but outside of that, I mean, under the lights, Denny Hamlin's been like the best driver in the field. So definitely someone I want to get some exposure to. Kevin Harvick, 11,600, starts 4th. Harvick, this is probably not the spot I actually want to go to for Kevin Harvick. Harvick's always someone I don't really play at the short tracks too much. Worked at Martinsville this year, worked at Bristol earlier this year, and it worked at Richmond for me last week. So, only 11th best average finish at Bristol. He does have the 2nd best average finish at short tracks and the best average finish at steep tracks. But the thing for me of Harvick is his laps led. Like, only 36 laps led at Bristol over the last 2 years. Like, that's really not a lot. Like, that's, not even top 5 or top 6. So, that's scary for me. Now, yeah, Kevin Harvick does have 1,044 laps led at the short tracks over the last few years, but that's only the 5th most in the field. That's behind guys like Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Truex, Logano, all these guys that lead laps at these short tracks. So it's scary to want to go there for me. I just don't think he has the upside. I mean, I think he's going to run well, but at that price tag with 500 lap race, you are going to want to have guys who lead laps. I don't feel like Harvick is really the guy to do that for you. He has been running really well recently, obviously. Last 5 races, average finish is 6, 296 laps led, is most in the field. 2nd best average finish in the field. But I just don't think that this is really the spot where he's a dominator. So Harvick's not someone I'm actually high on. Not really ever too high on Harvick at short tracks. So Brad Keselowski, 11,200 is probably going to be the most popular and probably the best play on the entire slate, in my opinion. Starts on the pole. At Bristol, starting on the pole, track position is so important. You get that clean air, and it's pretty much over for you. It's a hard track to pass at, so starting out front is very important. And you have Brad Keselowski starting on the pole at 11,200. He's 9th best average finisher at Bristol, 3rd best at short tracks, 3rd best at steep tracks. He has the best average position at Bristol, also the best at short tracks, and 2nd at steep tracks. He has 313 laps led at Bristol. That's 3rd most in the field. And 1,497 laps led at short tracks. That's the 2nd most in the field. So Keselowski, this is a place where he's done well at. And this is a low downforce package. And you want to know the low downforce package races this year? Bristol, he won that. Loudon, dominated and won that. Richmond last week, he won that. Those are 3 of his 4 wins were all at low downforce package. This is where this track is. I don't think he's not going to have that same car that's been so dominant at Richmond and Loudon this week, I don't think. But he's still, the Team Penske has absolutely nailed the low downforce package this year. They've been fast. So I think Keselowski is definitely someone I want to go to again, coming off a win last week at Richmond. He could just continue his way. I mean, I'm telling you, I think Keselowski wins his championship this year, but I mean, I just really think this is a really good play. I think he could lead a ton of laps. Even if he doesn't win a race, I think he's going to lead a ton of laps, and it's going to be a very good play. Chase Elliott, 10,700, starting 6th. Finish-wise, hasn't been a great track for him. Only the 15th best average finish at Bristol, 10th best at short tracks, 14th at steep tracks. Only 183 laps led at Bristol as well, and only 553 at short tracks. This has just not been a track that he's done too great at overall. However, I will say, he won the All-Star race, which I don't put those All-Star race stats in this because it's just completely different format. It's just not something I want to include. So he won the All-Star race, and his car was fast in the All-Star race. And he also probably should have came in first and second in the Spring Bristol race. If you remember, him and Joey Logano were first and second going into one of the turns of 2 laps ago, and they took each other out. So, yeah, he's looked fast here this year. The 2 races we've had this year, Chase Elliott's looked very fast. So I don't hate it. I really don't hate it at all. I know the numbers don't suggest it, I know, but he's looked good here this year, and he looked good at Darlington 2 weeks ago. So, I think he's a good play again, man. I think it's scary, just because I know the numbers haven't supported it, and honestly, the last 5 races, only an average finish is 16.6. But he needs to turn it around at some point. I think this is the spot where he could do it. I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership because of this number right here, and a lot of people love to go off past finishes. I don't think he's going to get owned at all. Everyone's going to be so high on Kyle and Busch and Keselowski this week. So I think Chase Elliott could be a sneaky play here and could dominate and win this race. Someone I definitely want to get some exposure to. Kyle Busch, 10,400. I think this week Kyle Busch is going to get a ton of ownership because, look, people love to play Kyle Busch when they think he can win because they know it's Kyle Busch. And we saw the only race this year that Kyle Busch has led laps consistently at was Bristol earlier this year. He was a dominator in that race. And, I mean, we know this is like Kyle Busch's track. He is the best average finish at Bristol. He's the best average finish at short tracks, the second best at steep tracks, only the 5th best average position at Bristol, 4th best at short tracks, 6th at steep tracks, 318 laps led at Bristol, that's second most in the field, and 1,389 laps led at short tracks. That is the 3rd most in the field. And those numbers would be number 1 if it wasn't because of this year wasn't included in all these numbers. He's been so dominant at short tracks over the past few years, especially Bristol. I mean, it seems like he wins one of these Bristol races every single year, and we know he needs to win so bad this year. So why wouldn't this be the place where he does it at his best track, at a place where he's actually looked good at this year? He's driving that Skittles car, which is what dominated earlier this year. I know that means absolutely nothing, but sometimes it's just fun to point out. So Kyle Busch, I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. I think he's got potential to win this race, and I think it's gonna be popular. But I'm gonna play some Kyle Busch. I just am. I mean, I can't get off of that. I did see a stat on on Twitter yesterday that said every single 3rd race for Kyle Busch ends in a terrible finish. But that's such a stat that I just don't want to really put much thought into it. And it's true. You'd see race 1, race 2, he'd finish top 5, and race 3 be 30th. But I don't think that's going to happen here unless he wrecks out. But I think this is a track where he just does very well. It's someone I definitely want to get some exposure to. He starts 9th, has some place differential upside as well. Then you have Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. is bad at Bristol. 23rd best average finish at Bristol, 4th best at short tracks, 5th best at steep tracks. 13th best average position at Bristol, 3rd best at short tracks, 3rd best at steep tracks. Only 52 laps led at Bristol, but the most laps led in the field at short tracks. I don't know what it is about Bristol, but the guy just cannot get it done. He is so good at all the other 2 short tracks, Richmond and Martinsville. Then he's good at Dover too. He's very good at Phoenix and Loudon. So but Bristol he cannot get down. He just is not good here. And I don't know what it is, but it just hasn't been good here. Last 5 races, still Truex average finish is 6.2 and 294 laps led, but I don't think this is it. I don't think this is a spot for him. I don't like his 3rd starting spot. If he's a dominator, oh well, but I don't think it's going to be it. I mean, just it's one thing when you have the bad finishes, but when your average position's bad too, and you're not leading any laps either, that's when it starts to get a little bit scary. So I think Martin Truex is going to be more of a stay away for me. I don't think this is a spot for him. Joey Logano starts 2nd, 7th best average finish at Bristol, 6th best at short tracks, 4th at steep tracks, 2nd best average position at Bristol, 5th best at short tracks, 4th at steep tracks. He has 244 laps led at Bristol, that's the 4th most in the field, and 1,172 at short tracks, that is the 4th most in the field as well. So in theory, Logano should finish 4th, right? But I mean, this is just a track where, again, him and Chase Elliott were battling for the win in the last turn, or 2 laps ago, and they wrecked each other earlier this year. So we've seen the speed from him at this track. And honestly, recently, he's been driving very well. Average finish of 5.8 in the last 5 races. That's the most in the field. Only 61 laps led, though. He haven't get the speed to get out front. He does start on the front row of his teammate, Brad Keselowski. So I wouldn't be surprised to see either one of them take the lead. Definitely going to have some exposure to both these guys. I think they're both good tournament plays. Some guys I definitely want some exposure on. Eric Jones, $9,400, starting 20th. This is an interesting one for me. Only a 13th best average finish at Bristol, 13th best average position at Bristol, and 12th best average finish at steep tracks. When we go look at the laps led, he does have 33 laps led at Bristol. Those were, I'm pretty sure, all last year, and 44 at short tracks. If you recall, last year, Eric Jones looked like he was honestly going to win this race. He was out front. He was on pretty much looking really, really good, and they just hit the wall. He just hit the wall. Race was over. I remember that. It was a shame. It was like the week after Darlington, too. It was like, is he going to get 2 in a row? Or the week before Darlington, one of those two, and he just wrecked himself. So he's shown speed here, and I think he finished in the top 10 earlier this year. So, I mean, he's shown the ability to finish high at this track. It just doesn't happen all the time, which is pretty much the key for Eric Jones' career. It's just inconsistency. Average finish in the last 5 races, 14.2, 0 laps led. I don't expect him to lead laps, but I think he can get you a top 10 and maybe a top 5. And at $9,400, yeah, I'm usually going to say, like, look, people, you need the dominator points. But, like, what if Blaney's a dominator? Like, that could happen. What if Clint Boyer or Almirola ends up being a dominator? Like, no one's playing Eric Jones this week. I don't think a lot of people are going to get there. They're just going to pay $400 or $800 less for Jimmy Johnson. And I think he's going to get not too high of ownership. And I think he might end up being a very good GPP play. Kurt Busch, 9,100, starting 13th. I don't really want to get here too much. I mean, I know he's really good at Bristol historically. 3rd best average finish at Bristol, 8th best at short tracks, and 9th best at steep tracks. 33 laps led at Bristol the last 2 years. But last 5 races, Kurt Busch has been bad. Average finish of 17.6, only 20 laps led. I mean, he's someone I'll probably have a little bit of exposure to, but not someone I want a ton of ownership on. Just because I don't think he has the upside to really finish that high anymore. He just hasn't looked fast. Ganassi just has not looked fast this year, or especially recently. So at 9,100, I think he's a little bit risky. Ryan Blaney, 8,800, starting 12th or 14th. He's number 12. Okay, this is another one like Chase Elliott, where the numbers don't suggest well. Like, he has the 21st best average finish at Bristol, 12th best at short tracks, 13th at steep tracks. But this time, Blaney has the 2nd best average position at Bristol, and the 8th best at short tracks and the 8th best at steep tracks. And he has the most laps led in the field at Bristol over the last 2 years. Ryan Blaney's actually really good here. Just always finds a way to wreck himself. I mean, like, if you recall, he wrecked himself. He was either in the lead or he was chasing down the leader, and that was it. But he was like one of the fastest cars in the spring race. Like, I think he could have won. I think he would have won, honestly. So we know, and we also know how good Penske's been at this low downforce thing. I mean, once again, like, Logano also, he won Phoenix this year, and that's another low downforce track. Like, they've nailed this package, and Blaney was nailing it at Bristol. Blaney also pretty much needs a win to move on to the next round of playoffs. This is the last race of the first round of playoffs. He needs a win to move on. So Blaney clutches it out. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna have a pretty good bit of ownership on going on to Ryan Blaney. I think Ryan Blaney is at least gonna make a case to clutch it out this week and move on to the playoffs. Last 5 races, yeah, not good. Average finish of 20th, only 37 laps led. Hasn't been good recently for Ryan Blaney, but I still want to go there. Jimmy Johnson, $8,600, starting 24th. Okay, Johnson actually has the 4th best average finish at Bristol. And then, I mean, it's not going to lead you any laps. And in the last 5 races, an average finish of 12.6, an average position of 13. I mean, he has top 10 potential. Probably more than likely going to get you like a top 15, and I think that's fine. $8,600, I'll pay for it. Someone who's going to be chalky, but definitely worth the ownership. Clint Boyer, I think, is going to be the low-on play of the week, 100%. He is the best average finish at Bristol, tied with Kyle Busch for the best average finish at Bristol. Is Clint Boyer. Starts 11th, doesn't have a ton of place differential upside. 4th best average position at Bristol as well, so it's not like he just gets lucky at the end. He has 144 laps led here over the past few years and 446 at short tracks, but I don't think this is really the place where he leads a ton of laps. And he's got an average finish of 9.6 in the last 5 and an average position of 9.4. He's on the bubble to make next round of playoffs, and he's going to need a good run. So I think Clint Boyer has top 5 upside. He finished 2nd here in the spring race. If it wasn't for that wreck, he would have finished 4th, but that's fine. He had a very good run, very good car. I think it's a spot where Clint Boyer could end up being a very, very sneaky play, very good play. Eric Almirola, $8,200, starting 10th. This is not a good track for Eric Almirola. 28th best average finish at Bristol. 22nd best average position at Bristol. Not going to lead you any laps. Last 5 races, only an average finish of 13th. I mean, I think he's sneaky because no one's going to play him, and I mean, he has top 5 upside, but this just hasn't been a good track for him at all. So probably going to be more of a stay away from me, honestly. Matt DiBenedetto is probably going to be really popular this week because everyone remembers last year, the night race at Bristol, when he almost won. I mean, he really almost won. He was in the lead with like 15 laps ago, and Denny Hamlin passed him. Like, he was leading, like, I think he led like 60, 70 laps. It was crazy. I mean, in the 95 car, the car Christopher Bell drives, 95. I almost said 96. That's Suarez's trash car. So he's going to be popular. He has the upside to finish up high, but Matty D has not been running well recently. Last 5 races, an average position finish of 18th and only 20. And he does have 28 laps led, actually. I shouldn't say only, but only an average finish of 15th. But again, just like Ryan Blaney, he needs a win basically to move on to the playoffs. So these two drivers I expect to be going pretty much balls to the wall, and they're probably either going to wreck it or going to like win. So Matty Benedetto, definitely someone I want to get some exposure to. I think he's going to be popular. He has place differential upside. He could lead laps. I doubt it, but he could. So I don't hate going there. William Byron at 7,900 is probably the lower owned version of Matty D, honestly. Same position, except I guess he doesn't have to win. He's 3 points behind Clint Boyer to move on to the next round of playoffs. He has 16th best average finish at Bristol, 13th at short tracks, only 20th at steep tracks. But the short and short tracks have been pretty good for William Byron over his career. Probably not going to lead you any laps. I mean, only 0 at Bristol, 22 at short tracks, 37 at steep tracks. The last 5 races, though, he has an average finish of 13.2, an average position of 13.6. We know he can run up inside the top 5. He did it at Darlington, so would not be surprised to see him up there by the end of the race. Definitely someone I want some exposure to, and I just don't think he's going to get that much ownership. Like, everyone's playing Matty D, everybody. So he's going to be so much more owned than William Byron. That William Byron's just, I mean, it's like a natural pivot, too. Like, it's not even a hard pivot to make. Like, it's just one spot place differential and $200 less, and you can just get to low ownership. So William Byron, definitely someone I want to play. Like, honestly, if you're making a lineup and it's just all chalk, just play Byron instead of Benedetto, and there you go. You're going to be different. It's really not, like, that big of a difference, in my opinion. I mean, look, I know Matty D's been in worse equipment, but still 17.6 average finish, 17.2 average finish. And Byron's looked a lot better recently. Okay, Austin Dillon. What got into Austin Dillon the last 2 weeks? This guy's been absolutely on fire. 2 top 5s in a row. Almost won Darlington. Led laps last week. $7,800 starting 5th. I hate it. I said it last week. I don't want to play Austin Dillon. He started like 3rd. Or 2nd or something. And I was like, there's no way. I mean, I don't want to play that. But he ended up passing Kevin Harvick. He led a ton of laps. His car was ridiculously fast. He's really not even that bad at Bristol. 13th best average finish here. He has the 8th best at steep tracks too. I mean, he's not going to lead you any laps. And then the last 5 races, an average finish of 7.5 and 104 laps led for Austin Dillon in the last 5 races. Now, I'm not going to play a ton of him, but last week I just faded Austin Dillon and it kind of killed me. I'm not going to lie. But this week I'll probably have a little bit of exposure to him. And, you know, in a few lines tournaments, because clearly he has that upside to lead laps now and to maybe hang around the top 5 all day. And that's what we got to go for at that point. So I'll play some of him. You know, I mean, he's not like a great option. He's not going to grade out well, but he didn't grade out well last week. He didn't grade out well at Darlington. He did really well. So Austin Dillon's fine. Definitely someone to get some exposure to in tournaments. If you're playing cash, don't play him at all. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starts 21st, $7,600. This is another track where he's just bad at. 27th best average finish at Bristol, 23rd at short, 24th at steep tracks. Yeah, it's not good here. Last 5 races, an average finish of 20th. I'm probably not going to go here. I mean, I don't think he gets you a top 15 or anything. The one thing about Bristol is I will say that Bristol is like the one of the few tracks. It's like Daytona and Talladega where pretty much everyone's in play. Like, you just don't. This is not a track. This is a track where attrition can happen and anybody can end up finishing inside the top 10. I mean, we saw that earlier this year at Bristol where, I mean, it was just a bunch of wrecks. Like, a million drivers wrecked, and you had, like, random guys getting, like, top 5. Like, I think Eric Jones and Austin Dillon were both in the top 5 at Bristol, and they weren't in the top 5 the whole race. So, stuff like that can happen. So, I'm not going to say, like, just don't play Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but I don't think, like, on paper, he's probably not a great play. If you're playing cash, I wouldn't play him, and I wouldn't have a ton of exposure to him. Alex Bowman starts 8th at $7,400. He has a 17th best average finish at Bristol, 16th at short tracks, 10th at steep tracks. He is very good at Dover, which is a track similar to Bristol. It's like a bigger version of Bristol, honestly. In the last 5 races, though, Bowman's had, like, I think 5 straight top 10s now. Average finish of 10.6, maybe it's 4. An average finish of 10.6. He's looked really good recently, so I don't hate Bowman at all. Hang around the top 10, compete for a top 5. Definitely someone I want to get some exposure to. Ryan Newman starts 25th, and Bristol is actually a good track for him. The 8th best average finish at Bristol, 11th best at short tracks, 17th at steep tracks. When we go look at the last 5 races, though, only an average finish of 20th. So that's not good, but he's ran well here. I think he can, outrun, like maybe compete for a top 15. He can compete for top 15. I'm not saying he's going to compete, and that will be very, very good for him. So definitely someone I want to have some exposure to, but not just like an automatic lock play. Christopher Bell, $7,100, starting 18th. He has 1 race here, finished 9th in the Cup Series, so that's good. In last 5 races, though, Christopher Bell, not good. Average finish of 23.8, average position of 20.4. Not someone I want a ton of exposure to at all. Cole Custer, $6,900, starting 12th. He has 1 race at Bristol where he wrecked out very early, so I don't even put too much thought into that. Last 5 races for Cole Custer, though, average finish of 13.8, average position of 15. I think he can hang around inside of top 12, maybe get top 10, like maybe get like a top 8 or something. It's going to be valuable at 6,900, so someone I want some exposure to. Bubba Wallace will probably be pretty popular, starting 27th. 22nd best average finish at Bristol, 23rd average position at Bristol. When we go look at the last 5 races, Bubba hasn't been running well, though. An average position of 27.4 or average finish of 27.4 and an average position of 23. So that's a little bit scary, but I still don't hate getting to it. I mean, he can pretty much only go up. Like, I don't expect him to just, unless he wrecks. So he can compete for, he can get you a top 20 probably, compete for a top 15. So that's what we're going for Bubba. He has upside, so I'll pay for it. Tyler Reddick, $6,600, starting 17th. Again, wrecked out very early in the 1 Bristol race he has. But steep tracks he's been very good at. Average, or 16th best average finish at steep tracks. In the last 5 races, Reddick has an average finish of 21.6. Oh, that's not the right one. This one's the right one. An average finish of 16.6. He's fine. He can compete for a top 10. Probably not someone I'd rather, honestly play Bubba or even John Hunter Nemechek. John Hunter Nemechek, I know he wrecks every week, but at the races where there's a ton of wrecks, he does well. So what are the races we got? Ton of wrecks. All the Daytona, Talladega races, Bristol, Martinsville, and I think the road courses. Like, he's got a really good average finish, all of those. So his 10th best average finish at Bristol, only 1 race, finished 13th. But he ran well the whole race. He had the 14th best average position in the field. He had an average position of 16 during that race. Like, that's a good run for him. Like I say, if John Hunter Nemechek just doesn't wreck, he's going to be a good play. Not good recently, average finish of 29th in the last 5 races. I'll have some exposure to him just because he starts in the back. Matt Kenseth at 6,300 has the 11th best average finish at Bristol the last few years, 10th best average position, which actually is pretty solid compared to what we've seen from Kenseth. But recently, an average finish at 18.8, average position at 18.4. I don't hate it, but not someone I'm going to get a ton of exposure to. Ty Dillon starts 28th at $6,100. He has the 26th best average finish at Bristol, 26th best average position. 26th average position. Last 5 races hasn't been running too well. Average finish at 24.4, so probably not someone I'm going to want a ton of exposure to. Chris Buescher, 6,000, starting 23rd. 24th best average finish at Bristol. 24th best average finish at short tracks. 21st best average position at Bristol. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 17.833. I like that. I don't think it's been a he's been running pretty decently. I think out of all these cheap guys, he's probably one of my favorite go-tos here. Michael McDowell's been bad here, but in the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 20.4. So that's like not a terrible. He has upside. We've seen Michael McDowell finish like in the top 15 this year, and we saw him do really well at Martinsville, which is a short track. So I don't hate it. But Bristol hasn't really been a strong suit for him. Ryan Preece, 5,700, starts at 22nd, but actually he has the 20th best average finish at Bristol. Like, that's pretty good. When we go look at the last 5 races, an average finish of 22.2. I think he can get you a top 20, maybe compete for a top 15. I don't hate it. Corey LaJoie starts 30th, $5,500 for Corey LaJoie. In the last 5 races, LaJoie has an average finish of 29.6. It's not been running well, but he starts 30th, so he can really only go up. And then we don't ever play Suarez, Hill, Gase, Davison, Poole, Half, Yaley, Bilicki. I honestly don't even know which of those guys are in and which ones are out. I just don't play them at these races. So, yeah. That's really all I got to say in this video. Thank you guys so much for checking out. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe on the video and on the channel. Be sure to stick around for more content. If you want to subscribe to the Patreon or follow me on social media, I'll put the links below. But yeah, hope you guys have a great weekend of watching NASCAR and making some money on this race. And thank you guys so much for checking this out.